Hello students, today I am there with Chapter 6, My Childhood, from Class 9th Beehive book. This chapter is taken under listening activity. Means you are supposed to listen the story and after listening the story, solve the worksheet which is given in the description box. You will have to click the link and solve the worksheet. So, listen the story carefully. Dear students, My Childhood is an excerpt which is taken from the autobiography of APJ Abdul Kalam, Wings of Fire. Dear students, APJ Abdul Kalam, whose projects in space, defense, and nuclear technology guided India into the 21st century, became our 11th president in 2002. And in his autobiography, Wings of Fire, he speaks of his childhood. And autobiography is a written account of one's own account. Means when the person himself writes about his own life, it is called autobiography. And because it is an autobiography, the chapter begins with first person pronoun I. As the author, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam himself tells about the incidents of his childhood. APJ Abdul Kalam told that he was born into a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. Here erstwhile means former. Madras was the old name, so it is called former Madras, as presently it is known as Chennai. He told that his father Janul Abdin had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom. Here innate means inborn, a quality or feeling in his own nature. So he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. Here generosity is the quality of being kind, nature of giving unselflessly. He had an ideal helpmate in the form of his mother, Ashiyamma, who was so generous, kind-hearted, and fed many people every day. Mr. Abdul Kalam told that he was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks. Undistinguished means ordinary looks, born to tall and handsome parents. He told that they lived in their ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. Here limestone is a white or light grey rock. Abdul Kalam's austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. Here austere means simple, strict and severe. His father was simple, strict and severe, and the unnecessary comforts and facilities he avoided. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam would say that his was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. The Second World War broke out in 1939 when he was 8 years old. For reasons he had never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds, which erupted in the market. Everywhere, tamarind seeds business was high in peak because everyone wanted to purchase it. Abdul Kalam used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop. Here, provision shop is a store or supply of something, especially food or clothing. This shop was on Mosque Street. A day's collection would bring him the princely sum of 1 anna. Here, anna is the unit of money. He said that his brother-in-law Jalaluddin would tell him stories about the war, which he would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. His area, being isolated or cut off from a populated area, was completely unaffected by the war. But soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. Allied forces referred to the armies of UK, USA and Russia during the Second World War. The first casualty or loss came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameshwaram station. It means previously the train used to stop in Rameshwaram station, but now there was no halt or stoppage of the train in Rameshwaram station. This was a problem for the people living there. The newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameshwaram road between Rameshwaram and Dhanushkodi. That forced Mr. Abdul Kalam's cousin Samsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameshwaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally, he filled the slot. That means Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam was fit into the place easily. He was fit for the job of catching the bundles of newspapers for his cousin Samsuddin. And in this way, it was the first time when Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam earned his first wages. Means he caught the bundles of newspapers for his cousin Samsuddin, and in return he gave him money. In the story, Mr. Abdul Kalam told that he could still feel the surge of pride in earning his own money for the first time. Mr. Kalam told in the story that He inherited honesty and self-discipline from his father and from his mother. He inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did his three brothers and sister. He had three close friends in his childhood. Their names were Ramananda Sastri, Aravindan, and Siv Prakashan. All these boys were from orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. Here, orthodox refers to strict Hindu family who followed their customs strictly. As children, none of them ever felt any difference among themselves because of their religious differences and upbringing. In fact, Ramananda Sastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the high priest of the Rameshwaram temple. Later on, Ramananda Sastri took over the priesthood, that means the office of position of a priest of the Rameshwaram temple, from his father. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims. Pilgrims means the people who go to visit religious place. And Siv Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. Here, catering contractor is the one who arranges meals for the people, who cook food and deliver food items in the railways. Mr. Kalam told that during the annual Sri Sita Ram Kalyanam ceremony, his family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of the lords. That means statues of the Lord, from the temple to the marriage site, situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtha, which was near his house. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of the prophet were the bedtime stories his mother and grandmother would tell the children in their family. That means at that time there were much differences between Hindus and Muslims, and that were also visible in the behavior of the parents. In his autobiography, he also mentioned about one incident. He was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, and a new teacher came to their class. Abdul Kalam used to wear a cap which marked him as a Muslim, and he always sat in the front row next to Ramananda Sastri, who wore the sacred thread. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. Here, could not stomach means he could not tolerate or bear. In accordance with their social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, he was asked to go and sit on the back bench. He felt very sad, and so did Ramananda Sastri. Abdul Kalam had to go back, but it made utterly sad to Ramananda Sastri, and this had given a long-lasting impression on Abdul Kalam. After school, they went home and told their respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Sastri called the teacher and in their presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of innocent children. And he very rudely asked the teacher to either say sorry or leave the school and the island. In this way, the behavior of the teacher changed. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of the separation of different social groups. However, his science teacher Siva Subramanya Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. Here, rebel means a person who is opposed because he disliked caste system. So, other people always spoke against him. His wife was a conservative person. That means she was a person who is averse to change and holds to traditional values and attitudes. She always followed orthodox customs of Hinduism. One day, when Kalam was invited by his science teacher Siva Subramanya Iyer to his home for a meal, his wife was horrified looking at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine or to have dinner in her ritually pure kitchen. She refused to serve him in her kitchen. At that time, Siva Subramanya Iyer was not perturbed. That means he did not get worried, nor did he get angry with his wife, but instead served Abdul Kalam with his own hands and sat down beside him to eat his meal. His wife watched him from behind the kitchen door. Next week, Siva Subramanya Iyer again invited APJ Abdul Kalam to join him for dinner. Observing his hesitation, Siva Subramanya Iyer told him not to get upset, saying, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted. Means, if you want to change any custom, you have to face the difficult situations too. When Abdul Kalam visited his house the next week, Siva Subramanya Iyer's wife took him inside her kitchen and served him food with her own hands. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. That means about to happen. Indians would build their own India. That was declared by Gandhiji at that time. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. Here, unprecedented means never done or known before. He asked his father for permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters in Ramananthapuram. But when he told that he wanted to go out for studies, his mother got worried to send him outside. But at that time, his father spoke great lines. And he told Kalam that he knew that Kalam wanted to go away to grow. He also gave the example of seagull who was not able to fly across the sun and was alone without nest. His father also quoted Khalil Gibran to his hesitant mother, and he told that her children were not her own children. They were the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. Means what's the life wishes them to be, they have to follow that too. They came through her, but not from her. His father told that she might give them her love, but not her thoughts, because they have their own thoughts. In this way, his father always supported him in all the decisions, and he always encouraged him to fly high in the sky without hesitation. Now, you all go to the description box, click the link, and solve the worksheet. Thank you very much for listening.